guys, I'm Eric. I'm sitting here with Stacy Haiduk. I always pronounced it as Haiduk as a kid until I learned it's Haiduk, like Haiduk. How are you today? So you're here at Smallville Con because of a certain show that has ties to the name Smallville. What show was that?
Superboy.
What was it like being on a series that was kind of tied to the Salkin?
Salkind, yeah.
The Salkin's Superman franchise, since they bought the rights back then.
That's right.
What was it like being on a show that was actually, in a lot of ways, supposed to be tied to that whole universe?
I think it was pretty incredible, especially at the time I was doing it back in, the late 80s. God, it's so long ago. But I do think it was an adventure for me because it was my first job, big job I should say, on a television show, and getting to play an iconic character like Lana Lang was, I saw it in the Superman 1, and I think they did it in Superman 3 or 4.
That was the one where
with Annette
Richard
O'Toole.
Pryor was in it. It was
Yeah,
3.
I think it might have been 3. Yeah, and. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yep.
4. I can't. There was 4 of them, right?
There was 4 of them.
Yeah. Well, it was an adventure for me. Growing up on the set, it was. I couldn't ask for a better first job.
And there was a lot of weird, crazy, and sometimes very solid guest stars, like Mr. Former Affleck himself, Gilbert Godfrey, on an episode.
Godfrey,
Did
yeah.
you actually get to work with him on set?
I only got to work with. I think I just at the end, but I really didn't. It wasn't he and I.
Yeah.
Like the Lex Luthor characters or some of the other characters that I've gotten to work with. But I did get to meet him and work with him. He's exactly like you expect he would be.
Weird,
fun
goofy,
and weird
off the
and
wall.
wonderful. Yeah.
Have you had an opportunity to guest appear on any other Superman shows or Superman-related shows?
No, I have not.
No?
No.
Do you want to?
Oh, of course I do. Of course I do.
Hey, call her. Let her know. She'll do it.
But sometimes they don't want to. They have other things. Other
You can
people.
only fit so much nostalgia and nods.
And they have a lot of nostalgia to go.
Oh yeah, CW has a lot of those. I mean, they throw in a lot of Helen Slater for Supergirl, Dean Cain, all of them who are just slapped in there. Not like just slapped in there, but you get they do a lot of fan
They want to use people
nods.
who, the cachet and all that stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah. You was also on another relatively popular sci-fi show. I mean, it lasted more than a season. It lasted like 3 or 4 seasons, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely.
You were on. I wanted to call it
Sequest,
I wanted to call it Deep Space Quest, but no, that's not right.
Okay. Sequest.
It's one of those weird names.
DSD.
Yeah, exactly. See where the confusion was? It's not my fault. It's not my fault.
You got it though. You'll get it. It's all right.
Sequest was a fun underwater show. You was only on the first season.
First season, yes.
And that season differentiated itself from the other one, where it was more of a Star Trek, using the term. See the confusion? Star Trek underwater.
Yes.
What was it like having to film a lot of those scenes? I mean, we know it wasn't underwater.
Well, it wasn't underwater at all. I mean, the only time that I got to really, we actually got to go on one of those nuclear subs. They wouldn't show us certain parts of it, which was okay, but and I got to do one of the what do they call it? A simulator driving a submarine. And I'll tell you, I bottomed out so fast. And they're like, pull up. I'm like, I've already crashed it. So I didn't realize how intense that whole thing was. And
I've done the flight simulation stuff. When I was in the military, we did some stuff. And you're like, I played these video games all the time. I'm an expert airman.
Yeah.
Boom.
Right.
You flew 2 inches. Yeah. So I stuck to the ground pounding.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want me as a pilot.
Well, with some practice, you never know.
You never know.
She might be off saving the seas, all that stuff. So, During your season, Darwin was around, if I remember correctly,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. That's where it all began.
How much of Darwin on set was animatronic, and how much was it was never a real dolphin at all?
Unless they did it out in some water somewhere. No, it was all, and it looked like a real dolphin. And people used to get mad at me because I'd go, oh, that dang fish. I love animals. I love dolphins, especially. I think they'd be amazing, but to swim with. But my first, and you can see it in my first experience with Darwin the dolphin. They showed me him, and I was like, oh my God, because I thought it was going to be a real dolphin. And they're like, oh, no, it's all animatronics. I'm like, oh, super cool. But we were doing our photo shoot for the cast, and and all you see is we're in a V, and if you have this photo, and if you know this one, we're all in this V, and we got all the characters, and then Darwin is in the center. I don't know if you remember this,
but vaguely recalling it.
Well, I'm in the back, and they have Don Franklin, who's taller than me, and I'm here, and they go, Stacy, can you move over because you're blocking Darwin? More.
They blocked you out of the photo.
And
basically?
so you get me doing this, and so Darwin's got his big thing, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm popping my head out, and I'm like, so that was my first. I was like, seriously?
You lost out to a fish.
To a fish.
And not even a real one.
I would have given anything for a real one, but that's when I had like some cast members. I would tell the story, and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you were like that's a dolphin." I'm like, "No, it's not. It is, but it's not." And you couldn't say anything at the time.
It's
you couldn't
horrible.
say it was a fake doll.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You got to maintain. Well,
for
for like kids who watch the show, you got to maintain that that illusion.
And for the adults, because you all want to believe it.
We all want to believe something.
My husband to be was on that show. I didn't know it at the time, but he was like, I would love to meet the dolphin. I said, it's hanging in a closet. You want to go look at it?
Do you actually have the dolphin?
No.
Neo Edmonds sitting over here. He's giving us the nickel comments. He's heckling.
Come on over and show your face. Get over here.
Come on over.
Swing over here.
I'm gonna photobomb
Woo!
it.
Only at Comic Cons.
One more time.
Back with Sequest.
Yeah.
I want to ask, and if you don't want to answer, that's quite all right. Why didn't you happen? Why weren't you in this following season?
The second season? Well, I shot Superboy in Florida for about 3-4 years, and when we did Sequest, it was in Los Angeles at the Universal Studios, and the second season they moved back down to Florida at the Universal Studios. So I didn't really want to go back down to Florida again.
Okay, so but both shows didn't record at the same time, though.
No.
Okay, I was just sitting there thinking, wait a second, were you on both of them at the same time? Am I forgetting that much?
That would have been actually fun if I could have done that jump from one place to another. Now.
Only if they were like, here's one lot, and the next lot is like, just a little over.
Exactly.
Not a few states. So, okay. Now, I got one last question. Now, this one's always the touchy one that a lot of people got to be careful with when asking celebrities and actresses and actors about these. The transition from Superboy to Superboy, from actor to actor. What was the experience like? I mean, some people like, oh, I had such a great time with this one, and this one was such a terrible one. I know you're not going to say anything like that because that would be horrible.
I'll tell you the truth. I think there's a lot of people who already know, but John James Newton played the first one, and he wonderful actor, but we were also dating too at the same time, which was not something I would say to an actress. Don't get
not
involved
recommended.
Do not get involved with your co-star, because when you guys don't get along anymore, there's a lot of animosity on the sets.
Especially if there's scenes where you're supposed to hold hands, hug, maybe the occasional on a show like that, a kiss on the cheek.
And then when they kiss other people, you just are like,
yeah.
So and it's not that, I would have worked it out but something happened, and I don't know what happened, to be honest, with this John. But then when Gerard came on, I embraced it, and went through that.
Yeah.
But I liked them both. I liked them. They both brought
great
different,
actors with
different characterizations of both the Clark Kent and the Superboy.
They had their own
yes, and both
cons
of
and
them were
merits.
very good.
Yeah.
So I mean, but I was. They each one puts on that suit and they come up with who they are, and whatever that is. But
and in a lot of ways, as a fan, I do recall a lot of the older episodes. I've rewatched some of them a couple years ago, and there is a huge change. But I don't subject that to the actors and actresses involved, but the quality of the filming in general. Like the show all of a sudden got a little bit more extra money coming in to do some cool stuff.
Yes.
And it was just absolutely fantastic. So, first of all, is there anywhere that fans can follow you on your Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook?
Instagram, it's Stacy_Haiduk. That's it.
I'll put it right down here above on the Facebooks or the YouTubes, depending on where you're watching it. Again, thank you very much. You guys have a good one, and we'll catch more here at Smallville Comic Con.